Lula da Silva will feature on the last day.
A major UK project is to use artificial intelligence to tackle the rising numbers of infections that have become resistant to treatment. The project seeks to combat resistance to treatments such as antibiotics. The problem is growing due to over-prescription failures by patients to complete their courses and careless disposal of pharmaceuticals. The BBC's James Gallagher.
The growing number of infections that resist treatment is known as the silent pandemic. Such superbugs kill more than 1 million people each year worldwide. One target is a group of tricky infections such as E. coli that have an extra protective layer. This can stop antibiotics getting in or allow them to be rapidly pumped out. UK researchers will perform experiments that feed data into an AI model so it can learn the key chemical structures needed to kill such bacteria.
Lastly, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres says that the draft resolution that the Security Council has passed to bring peace in Gaza is important for consolidating the ceasefire. Hamas has, however, rejected the vote, which envisages its disarmament. Russia and China abstained from the vote but did not veto it. The resolution has also proven controversial in Israel because it references a future possibility of statehood for the Palestinians. The BBC's Nada Tawfik.
Russia and China did not exercise their vetoes but abstained to let the resolution pass, largely because the Palestinian Authority and 8 other Arab and Muslim nations backed it. However, both Moscow and Beijing criticized the resolution. They said there was little clarity about the key mechanism's composition, that it didn't ensure the participation of the UN, and that it failed to explicitly reiterate a firm commitment to the two-state solution. Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu reasserted his opposition to a Palestinian state.
Recapping on your top stories, Nigeria is grappling with a dramatic escalation in violent attacks on both its security forces and on civilians. Now, for any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us at +27 11 714 4459. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Tsinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective. On the Move with Benjamin and Palesa every weekday on Channel Africa, The African Perspective.
Hey, good morning. Happy Tuesday to you and yours. You tuned in right here to Channel Africa. You're in the right place if you're in search of the African perspective. And if you're just one of those people who love to really understand different things across the world. And of course, just understanding them from our own context as African people, no matter where we are in the world. Tune in on www.channelafrica.co.za on the SABC Plus app and our audio bouquets, DSTV channel 802 and OpenView HD channel 628. It's now 9:07 Central Africa time, and it is time for On the Move with myself, Palesa Tau. Once again, riding solo, but I am riding the next 3 hours with you. So come in, join us, go into our live stream, take a seat there where Ben usually sits on the show, and of course, join me for the next 3 hours. Let's have a look at the conversations that we'll be having today. A very worrying one in the first hour of the show, and maybe not new news, but good research that needs to be done. A recent national study in South Africa reveals the serious harm that blesser relationships can inflict on young women. And if you're hearing this term blesser for the first time, it usually refers to a very transactional relationship, usually between very, very young women and much older, financially secure men. And these are transactional relationships that quite show power dynamics between these two people, mostly the power dynamics of the older males above these young women. We'll be taking a look at this study in the first hour of today's show. We go in the cubicle. This is, of course, our workplace feature. And if you're someone who's been in the very same job for a very long time, perhaps not even looking at adjusting into a new role, not even looking at a promotion, never applying for one. You might be doing something that is now called job hugging. We're finding out about what this job hugging is in the second hour of today's show, and of course how it may delay you from perhaps some adjustments that are necessary in your career. Moving on to our Money Matters feature in today's third hour of the show. It's another term that I've never heard before. Loud budgeting. It's an emerging approach to personal finance, because usually when we think about our personal finance, we think, yeah, this is my secret. This is personal to me, so I'm not going to tell anybody about it. But when you're loud budgeting, you are encouraged to openly share your spending limits and financial goals with other people. Is that something you would do, loud budgeting? So let us know. We are in the next 3 hours in these conversations. At Channel Africa 1 is where you can find us on our various social media platforms. And like I said, we are streaming live on Facebook. Find us there, Channel Africa. And we're streaming live on YouTube, Channel Africa 1 on that platform. It's going to be a great 3 hours. So come through, join us. You and I, we're on the move.
With gratitude for the voices, the rhythm, and the dreams that unite us all.
Roho ya Afrika inaishi katika kila hadithi tunayosimulia.
Each new day is a gift, a reminder to pause, to breathe, and to give thanks for the laughter we share and the journeys we take and the stories that shape who we are.
Cada nascer do sol, lembre que há algo pelo qual ser grato.
La vie est un voyage, parcourons-la avec gratitude.
Channel Africa. Celebrate the beauty of life with gratitude for the voices, the rhythms, and the dreams that unite us all. This is Africa with Channel Africa, the African perspective. The G20 Summit through African eyes, live updates, and expert voices only on Channel Africa. Get set and be ready to go. On the move with Palesa Tau and Benjamin Mushatama.
It's 10 minutes past 9 Central Africa time. You're tuned into On the Move right here on Channel Africa. This term blesser is a term that refers to mostly a transactional relationship between young women and older men. The older men in this situation are known as the blessers, and the young women, I suppose, as the blessees. It's something that's a phenomenon that has grown over many years here in South Africa. And a recent national study reveals that the serious harm that blesser relationships can inflict on young women in these relationships with much older, wealthier men who provide money, who provide gifts, lifestyle benefits in exchange for sex and other benefits as well. While such arrangements may carry the appearance of opportunity and status, the research has shown that this introduction of this is deeply entrenched. Risks include HIV infection. That's a huge risk here in South Africa, especially unintended pregnancy, intimate partner violence. I mean, we've been speaking about gender-based violence so often here on the show and on Channel Africa as a whole. And this is something that has a huge impact because it diminishes bargaining power in sexual decision-making as well. We're speaking about this particular study, unpacking the impacts of exploitative dynamics on health, agency, and young women's long-term well-being. Joining us on the line is Professor Gavin George, Program Leader of Health Economics and HIV and AIDS Research Division at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Thank you so much, Professor George, for your time this morning.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's define these relationships, because it sounds a little bit like the norm these days, doesn't it? That younger women would, of course, want to have relationships or be in relationships with older men. We've seen it for many generations. In fact, many of our households, when we look at the dynamics, our mothers have always been a little younger than our fathers. So we're like, why is this different and why does it have a different name? But let's actually define what blesser relationships look like and what kind of dynamics they play.
Yeah, well, first up, I mean, just a slight correction from your great introduction. I think you've said a lot and you raised some really, really important points during that introduction. The point about these men being much older, I think, yes, a large proportion of these men can be a lot older. But what we're finding is that actually a large portion of these men can also be same or similar age as well. There are a lot of younger men who are assuming the role of blessers. They now come into money and they are happy to use that money and spend that money on girls. And I think you mentioned the blesser relationship is a form of transactional sex. However, this is far more implicit. There is no sort of explicit contracting. You give me this amount of money and I will then give you sex in return. I think it's a far more implicit arrangement whereby there is a relationship between a man and a woman. It oftentimes is age disparate, and by age disparate, where the man is more than 5 years older than the female partner. And they have this usually a longer term standing arrangement where these men of means look after women who are looking for money for a variety of reasons, whether it's for sort of more basic items like food and clothing, right the way through to, a different, more upmarket lifestyle.
I think that is quite surprising, that dynamic that a blesser doesn't have to be older, because I think as society, that's what we think, right? A blesser has to be an old man. But essentially, it isn't really an age dynamic, if I'm hearing you correctly. It's more a power dynamic of money and power, and how that money and power is used to have a transactional relationship between these two individuals who are in this dynamic. But then one would say, hey, the people who are in this dynamic have chosen to be in it. These young women, or even if they're not younger, these women choose to be in these relationships, maybe because they can see the benefit of having someone who can provide money or stability or, money for whatever reason, even if it's luxury and lifestyle, into their lives. Why is this an unfair power dynamic?
Well, look, I think we can't get away from the fact that South Africa's extreme inequality means that young women grow up in a world where wealth is very visible, but oftentimes very inaccessible. And you add to that the significant rates of youth unemployment, especially for women. And the formal economy simply isn't delivering opportunities at the speed that young people need and crave. And it's within this context that a blesser relationship looks like a shortcut. It offers money, stability, this sort of social visibility and access to a lifestyle that they can't reach through work or through tertiary education. But as I've mentioned, we cannot assume that blessed relationships are only about poverty. And I want to reiterate that point. Mm-hmm. Our research shows that it's more complicated than that. Yes, extreme inequality and youth unemployment do create the conditions where some young women feel that there are few options when jobs are scarce and the cost of living is high.
Yeah.
This relationship with a wealthier man can look like a way to stay in university or help a family member or simply get by. But aspiration, and I want to use and really focus on that word, aspiration plays a big role here too, and it often gets missed. Young women are not only trying to survive, many are trying to belong, to be visible, and to feel that they are part of the same world they see online, in their communities and among their peers. So in a society where wealth and lifestyle are constantly displayed, the pressure to look the part is enormous. And for some, a blessed relationship becomes a shortcut to that sense of status and recognition.
Yeah. And although the blesser culture isn't a new phenomenon, I'm glad this study is recent because it can bring in that very new dynamic of social media and the online world and what role it plays in this aspiration that you speak of that can lead women into this blesser culture. Were you able to connect the two in your study, the social media as well as this aspiration that women then go into the blesser relationships for?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I recall quite vividly when I was speaking to a group of young women. One of them said to me along the lines of, Prof, if you want to look good on Instagram, you basically need a blesser. And I think everyone in the room laughed. But it captures the deeper truth. The pull of the status and the lifestyle can be really strong, can be really seductive. So what starts off looking glamorous online can hide the real risks underneath. And that is why, or essentially that's what women find out, oftentimes much later within that relationship.
Well, let's take a break, Prof. We're going to take a short break and come back. I'd love to look at the dynamics of transactional relationships and the real impacts that were shown through the study that you were a part of. Stay on the line. We'll continue speaking about this after the break. The real and true impacts of blesser relationships on young women. Stay with us.
Channel Africa is evolving, and so are you. Stay connected wherever you are with our brand new website and mobile app. Stream your favorite shows, catch up on African news, culture, and conversations, all at your fingertips.
Africa is just a tap away.
Your world, your stories, now on the go.
Stay connected wherever you are.
Visit channelafrica.co.za or download the Channel Africa app today. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Le monde entier a les yeux rivés sur Johannesburg. Les dirigeants des plus grandes économies mondiales se réunissent pour prendre des décisions qui façonneront les nations, les marchés et l'avenir. Vous savez déjà que Channel Africa sera sur place pour vous proposer des débats, des analyses et des points de vue essentiels. Suivez le sommet du G20 les 22 et 23 novembre en direct de l'Afrique. Restez connectés sur Channel Africa.
Benjamin Mushatama and Palesa Tau on the move.
We are unpacking the impact of the exploitative dynamics of blesser relationships on the health, agency, and long-term well-being of young women in South Africa through a study. The person who's part of the study is Professor Gavin George, who's joining us on the line. He's the program leader of Health Economics and HIV and AIDS Research Division at the University of KwaZulu-Natal. Let's continue this conversation. At the core of these blesser relationships is the transactional nature of these relationships. Maybe quickly, let's try and navigate and explain what a transactional relationship looks like, and then go deeper in why this leads to the impacts that I have mentioned earlier.
Yeah, well, as I mentioned, many of these relationships are implicit. So there's no explicit exchange of money for a particular act. And I think that that's important. But it also leads to this sort of this power dynamic. So when the wealthier partner is the one who pays the bills and provides transport or supports education, essentially he holds a lot of control, even if the relationship doesn't look abusive on the surface. So that imbalance makes it incredibly difficult for young women, and this is where the real risk comes in for young women. So it makes it difficult for them to insist on safer sex practices or refuse sex, or to leave if they ever feel unsafe. Many of the young women tell us that they fear losing that financial support. So they do feel somewhat trapped in these relationships. They fear losing status or even provoking violence if they challenge the older partner's terms. So I think that negotiation is key, and oftentimes these young women have to play this balancing act, the reward on the one hand and the risk on the other hand. So it's quite something for them to navigate.
I'm glad that you mentioned the term negotiation, because many of us don't think about this in our everyday relationships that aren't obviously blesser relationships, that you actually have the power to negotiate through various aspects of the relationship itself. And sometimes, as you said, even without it being forceful, there is a diminishing of this negotiation in these blesser relationships. What are some of the biggest impacts of the lack of being able to negotiate as a woman in this dynamic?
Well, increased risk, essentially. And I think this is where a lot of our sort of public health programs oftentimes fail, and some of our interventions that we try and implement. So, for example, some of our public health campaigns often say, just negotiate condom use. But the reality is that negotiation isn't really realistic when one person holds all the power. So that economic dependence and that at times age hierarchy can create the conditions where young women's voices are somewhat muted long before they step into that relationship. So negotiation becomes quite challenging from that perspective.
You know, what I really love about research is that it's not just about the problem. You guys have gone out there, you've spoken to these young women, you've understood the dynamics and the impacts thereof. But we do have to ask the question, what can we do about something like this? It's not like blesser culture will be gone in the next year or two. It's going to stay here because these power dynamics still remain. And although women are becoming a little bit more empowered, it's still not at the levels that we need to see all across the world. What do we do about this?
I think that's a great question, and I may not be able to provide an adequate solution. Look, the reality is these relationships have been, transactional sex has been around a long time.
Yes.
The blesser phenomenon is fairly recent, but it's been around for a fair bit of time, and you're absolutely right. I think there'll always be a demand and supply of blessers. But I think one of the points that I want to make is that we certainly need to move away from blaming young women. And instead, we need to at least attempt to change the world around them so that safer options actually exist. And that starts with economic pathways. And sometimes this is overused, I get it. You know, talking about real youth employment programs, yes, it's easier to say than to actually implement. Things like entrepreneurship support and opportunities that give young women an income of their own, an adequate income as well. So real proper employment. But also, we need stronger social systems, especially, and you've mentioned it, you know, you've stated before that your show is focused a lot around gender-based violence. I think many young women stay in harmful relationships because they don't feel they're believed or protected if things do go wrong. So we need accessible GBV services, safe houses, counseling, and community-based support networks that young people can turn to without fear or stigma. Making sure that support is visible and reliable so that they are able to leave these sort of dangerous relationships. And then education. Education is key, and schools potentially have a significant role to play, not just teaching biology, but women's rights, your sexual and reproductive health rights. Teaching is about relationships and emotional skills. But I don't want you to walk away to think that all the focus and attention needs to be placed on women, because I think that we need to engage with men. Men play a vital role. Let's not exclude them from the discussion. We have to challenge the norms that normalize control, entitlements, these sort of age disparate relationships, especially in environments where alcohol and violence are already part of this risk landscape, if you will. So the goal it should never be about policing young women's choices. We've got to make a concerted effort, I think, to create alternatives, protection and restore dignity so that no one has to trade safety for survival or for status.
Well, I think we might leave it there, but just really quickly before we go, where can we go to find out a little bit more about this research? But also, I'm very, very interested in the other aspect of this, because this is not just a young woman problem. It's a societal problem that we're seeing, and almost like a societal impact that we're seeing in our everyday communities, how young boys are growing up, how young women are growing up, and the things that we continue to teach people and continue to become a norm in our communities. Keep these kind of cultures, on a revolving wheel that's it's sort of never ending. And so I'm glad that you mentioned education in this, because it's the most important part, and not leaving men behind in the educational aspect, because we need to get in there in these deeply entrenched societal conversations and norms that aren't really changing. Even though we're having a lot of conversations, we still continue to see the same things exist in our society. So I'm going to leave it there for now. Let me know where we can find this research and perhaps engage more in this conversation, Professor.
Yeah, I mean, some very important points that you've made. This is part of a program of work that we've been involved in. Obviously, you drew this work from a piece that we published in The Conversation, but we've also got a number of academic journal articles that have been published, both qualitative and quantitative, which really provides with the holistic picture of the problem and the richness that you get from the qualitative data. And people are welcome to reach out to me. I'm on social media. You can reach me on LinkedIn. There's our website, her.org.za, that you can get these research papers on. And then mainstream media has reported quite extensively on this particular issue. So there's a lot of information, a lot of academic material that is available. And of course, people are welcome to reach out to me to engage further on a topic which I think is important.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time this morning. That's Professor Gavin George, Program Leader of Health Economics and HIV and AIDS Research Division at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, speaking about the impact of the exploitative dynamics of blesser relationships on young women. It's 9:30 Central Africa time. Let's get our latest sports news with Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you so much, Palesa. Very good morning once again from the Sports Desk. So the stage is set for the semi-finals of the CAF Women's Champions League, and Ismailia's Canal de Suez Stadium will play host to the two highly anticipated semi-final clashes between AS FAR as well as TP Mazembe, as well as ASEC Mimosas as well as FC Mazra, all taking place today. So AS FAR up against TP Mazembe will be the first match to take center stage. That's a 3 p.m. Central African time, a blockbuster rematch of last year's final opens a double-header showdown. AS FAR runner-ups in 2024 and are entering their fourth consecutive semi-final. An unmatched record, by the way, arrive with one of the objective, and that is to reclaim the continental crown that slipped from their hands last season. Standing in the way is the defending champions TP Mazembe, a team built on discipline and a growing reputation of delivering on the biggest African stages, with both sides boasting elite quality as well as tactical maturity. This encounter promises a lot of fireworks. At the same time, the second semi-final will see ASEC Mimosas, unbeaten leaders of Group B, take on FC Mazra, the host side, and runner-ups in Group A. For the Ivorian Giants, this marks their first ever appearance at this stage, a golden opportunity to write a new chapter in the club's history. FC Mazra, meanwhile, arrive with growing continental pedigree after securing third place in the previous edition. The Egyptian side now is in their second straight semi-final and continue to establish themselves as a rising force in women's football. The Egyptians now know they must remain focused from the first whistle to the last. Any lapse could be costly against ASEC Mimosa, a team driven with a lot of confidence. Today's clashes, by the way, promise intensity as well as unpredictability. On to this now. South Africa's former FIFA referee, as well as the newly appointed South African Football Association project leader for the VAR management team, Daniel Bennett, has revealed to SABC Sport that they have received a total of 11 bids for the VAR tender, but will only meet with the management team tomorrow. This as he will be arriving from Spain with the aim of narrowing down to 4 shortlisted companies. Now, these include leading companies such as Haweke from the UK, Media Pro from Portugal, Rigro from China, as well as Quality Media from Spain.
Well, there's been 11 tenders submitted to SAFA so far. I have to go back now to my management team when I get back to South Africa, and I've looked at all the tenders and I've picked out a top 4. If those top 4 don't qualify, we need to look at the other tenders because of costing or the actual product. The management team will have to have a look at those tenders and make a decision based on what's the most cost-effective way for us to implement VAR.
On to rugby news now. South Africa will host 3 Six Nations teams in July of next year as the new Nations Championship launches with a northern invasion of the Southern Hemisphere. England, Scotland as well as Wales will head to South Africa for the mid-year test matches. Now, the groundbreaking Nations Championship, which is a landmark joint venture between SANZA as well as the Six Nations Rugby to create the new biennial tournament, was officially launched on Monday, with the 12 biggest nations in world rugby colliding in a competitive new tournament that will reshape the future of the global game. Now, the SANZA nations, which is South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, as well as Argentina, plus invitational teams like Japan as well as Fiji, will represent the Southern Hemisphere in the new competition played in the 2 existing international windows. That's in July and November against the Six Nations teams, which is England, France, Ireland, Italy, Scotland, as well as Wales. Now, all 12 nations will compete for points: 4 for a win, 2 for a draw, 0 for a loss, and a bonus point for scoring 4 or more tries and then losing by 7 points or fewer to determine the standings in their respective groups. And finally, the Ladies PGA Championship is expected to release the 2026 schedule this week, and is reportedly will include a new venue for the Chevron Championship, which is the tour's first major tournament each season. It has been played the past 3 seasons at the club at Carlton Woods, just outside Houston, Texas, and the multiple outlets reported that it will be relocated to the city's public memorial golf course. Now, the event is held in April of each year. Before relocating to Houston back in 2023, the tournament was played in California. It has been a major since 1983 and previously was also known as the Diana Shore Open, with Nabisco among the title sponsors. Well, that concludes your sports news on the first hour of On the Move. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, our email address is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Alternatively, call us on +27 11714 4459. I'm back with more sports news in the next hour. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Africa. It's time to plug into the heartbeat of the continent. Tune in to Channel Africa, your go-to radio station that broadcasts in 5 different languages.
L'Afrique du Sud célèbre la journée nationale du
Kabla hujaitwa kwa jina la Double K or more of our forests have been destroyed.
Tamo Partido Africano da Independência da Guiné.
See, Channel Africa represents every corner of this amazing land. From Lagos to Cape Town, Nairobi to Dakar, we've got you covered with the freshest news, music, and cultures. So, turn up the volume, feel the rhythm. And join the conversation. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Thank you so much, Musibudi, for that sports update. Let's get our latest in business with Buntle Headbush.
Business news on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Thanks, Palesa. Good morning. In the latest business news, the Democratic Republic of Congo's Mines Ministry says they've extended for 6 months a ban on the trading of minerals from dozens of artisanal mining sites in conflict-hit North and South Kivu provinces. The extension adds compliance pressure on global supply chains for tin, tantalum and tungsten, key inputs for the electronics, automotive and aerospace industries. The Minister of Mines, Watum Kabamba, says the ban, first introduced in February, is being kept in place because of evidence that illegal supply from mines is financing armed groups in the east. The ban applies to 38 sites producing coltan, cassiterite and wolframite, ingredients for tin, tantalum and tungsten in the Masisi territory in North Kivu and Kalehe territory in South Kivu. South Africa and the United Kingdom are set to host the 8th Global Fund Replenishment Conference. The summit will be held in a hybrid format on the margins of the G20 Leader Summit. This comes as the Global Fund faces a potential $8 billion shortfall against its $18 billion target. The Global Fund Replenishment Conference aims to accelerate the fight to end AIDS, TB, and malaria, strengthen resilient and sustainable health systems, and build a healthier, safer future for all in sub-Saharan Africa. Co-founder and CEO of Goodbye Malaria, Sherwin Charles, says funds raised at the summit and coordinated efforts by African countries to ensure sustainable health systems to fight these diseases will go a long way.
As a sub-Saharan region, where malaria thrives, is us coming together and ensuring that we work as one block in solving the problem. And it can be done. We've seen countries in North Africa that have been declared malaria-free. I think below the equator, we definitely can do it as well. And we have districts in Eswatini, southern Mozambique, South Africa, that can definitely get over the line in the next 3 to 5 years.
The Ivory Coast's farmers say last week's light rains in the West African country's cocoa-growing regions augur well for the October to March main crops, adding that harvesting is intensifying before reaching its peak in December. The world's top cocoa producer is in its dry season, which runs from mid-November to March, when downpours are scarce. Farmers say above-average rains across the country have boosted the growth of many small and average pods before the start of the seasonal dry Hamatan wind that usually sweeps in from the Sahara Desert between December and March. They say light or average rains will help the main crop to be longer and larger compared with last year, and that buyers are happy with the current quality of beans. South African civil society groups say there have been notable benefits in hosting parallel summits to counter previous G20 summits. Ahead of the upcoming G20 summit in Johannesburg this weekend, civil society movement We the 99 is demanding wealth taxes, debt relief for low-income countries, and climate justice. We the 99, which is made up of more than 100 local and international organizations, including trade unions and non-profit organizations focused on human rights, will host its own summit from Thursday until Saturday. Mazibuko Jaha is the founding director of Zabalaza Pathways Institute, one of the organizations leading this summit.
This year's G20 summit has been preceded by the release of the Global Inequality Report, which makes a definitive statement on the state of inequality and points to the need to tax the 1%, so the 1% that is rich can pay their fair share of the tax so that we can end illicit financial flows which take billions of dollars from our countries to companies in the global north. In other countries, governments are beginning to respond with pro-poor budgeting, with effective participation in municipal affairs. We want to do this in South Africa.
The head of tech giant Google has warned that no company would be immune if the current AI-led tech bubble were to burst. Sundar Pichai said the boom in artificial intelligence was unprecedented and had what he described as irrational elements. He said Google was also investing massively in AI, but stressed that even state-of-the-art models were prone to errors and should not be blindly trusted. Pichai also cautioned that AI would affect future jobs.
It will create new opportunities. It will evolve and transition certain jobs. and people will need to adapt. And then there will be areas where it will impact some jobs. So as a society, I think we need to be having those conversations. And part of it is how do you develop this technology responsibly and give society time to adapt as we absorb this technology.
And our time for a look at the indicators. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,443 naira this morning. In Botswana, it's at 13 pula 94. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 45, and in Zambia it's 22 kwacha 58. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 30. Russia, 80 rubles 91. In India, it's 88 rupees 62. China, 7 yuan 10, and South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 10 cents this morning. $1 is trading at 75 pence to the British pound and 86 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $4,012 per ounce, platinum at $1,520 per ounce, while the price of Brent crude oil is $63.86 a barrel this morning. Those are your business news. I'll be back with another update in the next hour. For any business news stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Give us a call on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Buntle Headbush.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Siyabangena manje. Vito Jablan Kolele Imagoda. Jablan is a young man from Guyana in Limpopo in South Africa. Very easy guy, taking things easy. To know me is to know that I love what I do, which I'm crazy about it. So when you hear me on radio, expect the best. Expect great music. Expect great content. Expect 180 minutes of nothing but fun. You'll find me on the morning reset, 3 to 6 a.m., Monday to Friday. Siyabangena baba. Ay. Mbuleke.
9 to 12 midday, Central African Time. On the Move with Palesa Tau and Benjamin Mushatama.
Tuwafunda ukulinda nje bathi awuhlawulwanga sibonga usisi sa tungashisa impepho emsamo thethisa abaphansi masingakafika isikhathi sakho linda ungahlaba imbuzi uhlaba inkomo phela imfuyo esibayeni linda awuhlawulwanga ijelelelo umejele mawutshela ukuthi ahlupheka ngoba ubaba khawumazi ijelelelo umejele mawutshela ukuthi akuhlangana empilweni yakho ngenxa yesibo ijelelelo umejele ngoba mina ngintandane suka kuleyo nkulumo ijelelelo umejele ngoba wakhipha isisu bathi leyo ngane iyevali usiso waqakekile lola lona iqiniso mawukhola lokho jelelelo umejele tungashisa impepho emsamo thethisa abaphansi masingakafika isikhathi sakho linda tungahlaba imbuzi uhlaba inkomo phela imfuyo sibayele linda fana nokufa akekho nolwazi olugcwele sonke silinda amagama ethu mayebiso ubona nje sesidlala abafundisi bamanga besenzisa yonke imhlolalelo wewe tubona sesidlala inyanga samanga sisenzisa yonke imhlolalelo Tasvuge Temaqande Sifunda ukulinda Sodlala abantu Tasvuge Sivuge maqande Sifunda ukulinda Ngoba sodlala abantu Daba Tungashisa impepho emsamo Tethisa abaphansi.
This is Java with one titled Linda. We're speaking about blesser relationships in this hour of the show. I know it sounds like it's not a new conversation, but it's good that we always have sort of recent research that looks at what our current social dynamics contribute to a culture that's been existing for some time now. We'll continue this conversation after the break.
Annika Londi sur Channel Africa.
Comment est-ce que les militants et sympathisants du parti Les Transformateurs ont-ils réagi face à la condamnation de Succès Masra?
La condamnation de Succès Masra ne nous a pas surpris et les militants transformateurs ont été bouleversés et indignés étant donné que le verdict est un verdict lourd, illégal, injuste et donc face à la répression dans laquelle le peuple tchadien est confronté, les militants transformateurs se sont résignés de ne pouvoir pas sortir manifester. Et donc, c'est une situation totalement absurde pour un pays. Et aujourd'hui, nous célébrons le 11 août, fête de l'indépendance. On pensait que le verdict allait être plus ou moins clément, mais le verdict est sévère.
Annika Londi, tous les dimanches sur Mix Vibration.
Você é fluente em português? É apaixonado por rádio e quer trabalhar na África do Sul? Você tem documentos que o qualificam para trabalhar na África do Sul? Nesse caso, podemos ter uma oportunidade para você trabalhar no Canal África. Envie seu currículo e demonstração para Canal África at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Lembre-se, se você não receber alguma resposta nossa em 14 dias, isso significa que você não foi selecionado. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
Global leaders, African insights. Follow the G20 summit with Channel Africa as it happens. Keep Africa in your hands. Connect to our website for all your news, sports, and cultural updates. channelafrica.co.za.
9 to 12 midday, Central African Time.
On the move with Palesa Tau and Benjamin Mushatama.
Yeah, this is certainly a true classic. Dimela Whispers in the Deep. Tuned in to On the Move right here on Channel Africa. We've been speaking about Palesa culture, and that's the conversation we're having on today's On the Move poll. That's on our X handle at Channel Africa 1. So head on over there quickly and participate in this conversation. We're asking you the question on today's poll. What do you think is the biggest harm for blessee relationships? Is it the power imbalance and abuse? Is it the emotional trauma or HIV and STIs? Let's find out from you what you think about this one. I certainly do think it's the power imbalances and the abuse. And the thing is, you know, it's so hard to see power imbalances, right? It's not a tangible thing. So you see these relationships, and many women who witness, many young women, in fact, who witness these relationships saying, yeah, one day I wish I could find myself a rich man who's going to take care of me. I'm also going to buy myself a Gucci bag. I'm also going to drive this kind of car, because that's what I'm seeing on social media. But what we don't see is what is not being displayed. The power imbalances are subtle, and they usually happen behind closed doors. So when you're seeing these people and you're aspiring to be like them, when young women are aspiring to be like other young women who they see in these relationship dynamics, they're not seeing what goes on in home. They're not seeing the powerlessness of not being able to negotiate things that you should be able to negotiate in normal relationships. So these are things like, hey, why, like, I don't want to have sex today. That's something that you're able to negotiate in a normal relationship. You know, condom use is something that you're able to negotiate. Maybe even saying, hey, why don't we go out to do some STA tests this week because we're in a relationship? That's something that you can negotiate in a relationship. Sometimes things like going home, like I want to go see my family, I'd like to go home, but your partner says, no, actually this weekend I have an event with my friends, so you cannot go. You can't negotiate things like that where there are power imbalances, and those are the things that are left out of the limelight, right? We're seeing so much of these dynamics being displayed on social media, and it almost seems like these women who are in these blesser kind relationships are, you know, hailed highly on social media because they have all the right things, the beautiful weaves, the perfect makeup, they go to these nice holiday destinations and these great events, but we don't know what's going on behind those doors. And what is going on sometimes behind those doors are things that really impact those individuals for the rest of their lives. I think I'm seeing a subtle shift. This is just on my personal level in this kind of culture, and, you know, influencer culture sort of moving away, becoming a little bit more conservative, but moving away from the outward display of money from a particular person or money from a particular man. But this could just be me. But you can let me know on the Move poll. Of course, you can also comment under the poll so we can hear your thoughts. And our WhatsApp number is +27 63 406 9126. Let's get our latest news.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Palesa. Looking at your top stories. Nigeria grapples with a dramatic escalation in violent attacks, and Venezuelan president ready for talks with his U.S. counterpart. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. Nigeria is grappling with a dramatic escalation in violent attacks on both its security forces and civilians. In the country's northeast, the radical group, the Islamic State West Africa, claims to have executed a senior Nigerian army officer captured during a deadly ambush on a military convoy, marking an unprecedented escalation in the 16-year insurgency. In the northwest Nigeria, gunmen also attacked a government girls' boarding school in Magatown, Kebbi State, killing the vice principal and abducting 25 students. Channel Africa's Nigeria correspondent Jonathan James Liam explains the escalation of attacks in the country.
ISWAP is the Islamic State in West Africa, and that has been one of the leading terrorist organizations that has continued to showcase terror in Nigeria. And they have continued to gain notoriety over the years, and their pattern has stayed consistent. They're constantly trying to entrench what they say is an Islamic caliphate, and they have had moments where they've taken territories and moments where the Nigerian military has been able to push them back.
In Uganda, mounting political tension is back in the spotlight as prominent activist and global health leader Winnie Byanyima is calling for the immediate release of her husband, opposition figure Kizza Besigye. Byanyima her appeal comes on the first anniversary of his detention. The year has been marked by legal delays, restricted access, and growing pressure on President Yoweri Museveni's government to justify his continued confinement. Rights groups say the case reflects a deeper pattern of political repression, while supporters argue Besigye's detention has become a symbol of Uganda's shrinking democratic space. South Africa's Deputy President Paul Mashatile will officially open a 3-day G20 social summit in Boksburg in the east of Johannesburg later today. It is a precursor of the 2-day Leaders Summit, which will take place this weekend. The social summit will bring together civil society voices that will contribute to the G20 decision-making process. Ndebo Mogobo reports.
The social summit concept started in Brazil last year, and building on the idea of entrenching civil society input into the G20, South Africa wants to ensure that the summit elevates issues of social development, equity and inclusion to the same level of financial concerns. The 3-day meeting brings together representatives from governments, civil society, labor, youth, women and persons with disabilities, among others. Almost 5,000 delegates are expected to attend, with at least 11 thematic areas up for discussion. Both President Cyril Ramaphosa and his Brazilian counterpart Lula da Silva will feature on the last day.
South Africa's government has raised red flags over the mysterious arrival of a plane carrying over 100 Palestinian nationals at the OR Tambo International Airport in Johannesburg last week. Breaking his silence at a media briefing in Johannesburg, International Relations Minister Ronald Lamola confirmed that Pretoria is suspicious about the circumstances surrounding the flight. Lamola said the incident is now under full investigation.
The Palestinian plane, as to whether there is some shady work and so forth, indeed we are suspicious as the South African government about the circumstances surrounding the arrival of the plane and the passengers that were in the plane. And this matter is a subject of investigation that must be thoroughly investigated, and the South African public will know at some stage.
And lastly, Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro says he is ready for discussions after President Donald Trump said the U.S. may be open to talks to defuse the tense standoff. Washington has been ramping up pressure on the socialist leader with the military buildup in the southern Caribbean and the repeated targeting of small boats accused of smuggling drugs. On his weekly TV program, Maduro said free countries should engage through diplomacy.
So this country is at peace. This country will continue to be at peace. And in the United States, anyone who wants to talk to Venezuela will talk face to face without any problem.
Now, recapping on your top stories, Nigeria is grappling with a dramatic escalation in violent attacks on both its security forces and its civilians. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Tsinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
On the Move with Benjamin and Palesa every weekday on Channel Africa, The African Perspective.
It's the second hour. You're tuned into On the Move right here on Channel Africa. It's a beautiful Tuesday morning. Well, a little bit cold and chilly here in Johannesburg, South Africa. But hopefully you have much brighter weather wherever you're listening to us from all across the world. We're going to the second hour of the show. It's time to go in the cubicle. And this is our workplace feature. This is where we speak all things that happen within the working world. And today we're speaking about a different phenomenon. And this one is called job hugging. Feels a little bit like the opposite of the term job hopping, right? Because we're seeing a movement these days where people are like, you know what, if I'm not satisfied with this job, I'm just going to find another one. If I'm not satisfied with this position, I'm going to go to another organization and get a better position there, and I'll get more money too. And it seems like we've been speaking about this Gen Z movement of job hopping quite a lot. But there's another thing happening in the workplace inside, something called job hugging. And these are the people who are holding on almost for dear life to this one job and this one position. Why are they doing this? Why don't they want to let go? Why do they have an attachment to this position? Or is it just a fear of uncertainty outside of this position? We'll find out a little bit more about this in this hour of the show. But in the meantime, you can still engage in our first hour conversation where we're speaking about the exploitative impacts of blesser culture or blesser relationships. And that's on today's On the Move poll. Of course, tell you the results of the poll at the end of the show today. So head on over there at Channel Africa 1 on X. What do you think is the biggest harm for blessee relationships? Is it the power imbalances and abuse? Is it the emotional trauma or HIV and STIs? At Channel Africa 1, you can also comment under that poll and continue the conversations on our WhatsApp number +27 63 406 9126.
Got something to say? Are you passionate about issues that matter?
Do you have a voice that deserves to be heard?
Well, we've got the perfect platform for you. Call in or drop us a WhatsApp on +27 63 406 9126.
And we will call you back.
So you could have your say and be part of the conversation.
30 years of age. I just turned 30 on the 15th of November. So that's who I am, you know.
It's not just talk. It's your chance to air your views.
Share your opinion.
Engage with a community that values your perspective.
Follow us on our social media.
Visit our website at www.channelafrica.co.za
and get ready to share your views
on Channel Africa,
the African perspective.
Nkhanza zokhudza amuna ndi azimayi kapena kuti gender-based violence GBV zikuwononga mioyo komanso kuphwasula midzi. Zikuchitika m'manyumba, m'masukulu, malo ogwirira ntchito ndipo kwambiri mwakachetechete. Koma sizikuyenera kupitirira. Mukazimva yankhulani. Ngati mwakhuzidwa funani chithandizo. Chifukwa kusachita chilichonse sikuthandiza. Mverani kuma wireless onse 14 a SABC kuchokera lachitatu pa 23 mwezi uno wa Julai kuti mumve zokambirana, malangizo, masewero, zionetsero za maphunziro ndi mafunso okhuza nkhanza za amuna ndi azimayi ndi akatswiri, anthu opulumuka ku nkhanzazi, okhazikitsa lamulo komanso dziko lonse lokhuzidwa ndi nkhanzazi. Zonsezi pa wireless yomwe mumayikonda ya SABC. Imbirani pa nambala 0800 428 428 kuti munene za nkhanzazi kapena kupeza chithandizo. Nkhanza zokhuza amuna ndi azimayi zimatha ndi inu. Uthenga ukufikani kuchokera ku SABC. Dziko lapansi likuyang'ana mzinda wa Johannesburg. Atsogoleri ochokera m'mayiko akuluakulu azachuma pa dziko lapansi akumana kukambirana njira zomwe zingasinthe mayiko, misika komanso zatsogolo la mayiko. Mukudziwa kale kuti Channel Africa idzakhala komweko kukubweretserani zokambirana za mkatikati komanso akatswiri kusanthula zomwe zili zofunikira. Msonkhano wa G20 kuyambira pa 22 pakana pa 23 mwezi wa Novembala monga momwe ukuchitikira. Khalani cheru ku Channel Africa, kalilole wa Africa.
Palesa and Benjamin fuel your day with fresh African perspective on Channel Africa.
It's 8:59 a.m. and an employee is sitting at the same desk they've occupied for years. They're watching the office clock tick with practiced familiarity. The job offers little to no spark, no challenge, yet the routine feels safer than the unknown outside. This quiet attachment, part habit, maybe a little bit of fear in there as well, is no longer career stability, it's job hugging. That's what we're talking about today on the show. This is In the Cubicle, where we speak all things in the workplace. And we're looking at this new phenomenon that almost seems like the opposite of job hopping, a phenomenon that Gen Zs have realized, hey, how can I get more opportunities? How I can get more money? How can I get better positions? This is by moving from one job to the other. But there are people inside the organization that have been holding on to that one position for dear life. Sometimes it comes with economic instability, hiring slowdown, growing anxiety about AI and layoffs that are driving this cautious behavior. We're looking at this today with Sipho Mabaso, an HR specialist, helping us unpack what job hugging means for workers and workplaces alike. Sipho, thank you so much for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning, Palesa. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you very much.
I'm glad. Well, let's look at the workplace these days. We've been having so many workplace conversations on the show, and many of them have come from the different changes that Gen Zs have brought into the workplace. And one of these changes has been, I guess, the very freeing phenomenon that you don't have to hold on to one position. And these are the things that people are saying these days. Like, you know what? If you want more money, just leave your job. It's okay. You'll find another one. You know, if you want a better position, leave this place, go to another place, and it's actually going to give you a more positive trajectory. So this seems to really oppose what we think is the norm these days. Let's speak about this job hugging. Who are these people who are holding on for dear life?
So, Palesa, I love the fact that you're highlighting what the Gen Zs are doing in the market, and we are seeing a lot of organizations starting to ask themselves around what kind of policies should we be having, right? But in essence, the people that are job hugging, that would still be your baby boomers, your Gen X, millennials, not so much, but I think it is a trend that's cropping up as well. And I think something that you touched on in your intro is the idea that there isn't much security anymore, and a lot of people job hug because they are thinking about the stability and what the future might look like for them. A lot of the stats are still very much American-based, and because of the American politics, that's why this phenomenon is taking off, and it's because the market is currently not stable. So you get the gist of every generation job hugging for the sake of security.
Now let's look at this. What makes one a job hugger? Is it how long they've been in an organization? And my colleague Peter said something interesting earlier. Is job hugging a phenomenon of how long you've been in a particular position, or a mindset of being scared to move and the instability of the market, as you said? So is it a time thing or a mindset thing?
I think it's the latter. So it's a mindset thing, because unlike engagement, you're not staying in the job because you're completely engaged. You're staying out of fear. So the element of intention becomes quite important around why are you choosing to stay. So let's get it straight. There are people that have got no ambition of moving upwards, of moving sideways. Those people we are okay with, right? You'll always have a percentage of those. But there are people that then find comfort in the idea of moving into a new role, of taking on additional tasks. These elements scare them off, and therefore they choose to stay. And that's the element that would then define what job hugging is. It's out of fear, it's out of comfort, it's out of being scared of the unknown. So it's more a mindset thing than it is I want to show my loyalty. It's not about loyalty per se. Yeah.
But then how do we tell the difference between these two, right? So if you have two individuals who've been in a particular workplace for 5 or more years, how do you tell the difference between the one who's a job hugger or perhaps one that's just satisfied in their position? They love what they do and they love how they do it and have no aspiration to move upwards or sideways, as you said. But these people have also, they've both been in an organization for, I guess, an extended period of time.
I think easier things to see, Palesa, might be people that are scared of even stretch assignments, right? So you're still in the same role. You are required to take on a stretch exercise or a stretch assignment within the same scope. Some people might be scared. So they might just feel like, no, I don't know that part. I know my job. I want to stick to my routine. Then you sort of know that this person is not looking to go anywhere, they're just stagnant. Whereas a person that's happy to be where they are, and not just comfortable, happy to be where they are, they might take on tasks of coaching other people that are coming on board. They are happy to see younger people, trainees, getting on the same level and going up. They are happy to contribute into their growth because they are okay with where they are. But a person that operates out of fear responds differently to new tasks and what they are assigned to do. So even if you get them to collaborate with other people, you might get a sense of nervousness because why are you sending me that side? Are you trying to get rid of me? Whereas a person who's comfortable in their own space would be okay collaborating with other departments, as an example. So very nuanced. So it's not necessarily a black and white description. So there might be nuances that you pick up within the workplace with all these individuals.
What are some of the outside contributing factors? So by this, I mean maybe economic factors, maybe, factors in the workplace itself that could contribute to an individual becoming a job hugger.
So let's start it on an economic scale. So it might be what's happening in the economy. Like I said, in the American space, it's very easy to pick up that things are not stable. If you come into South Africa as an example, I think about MultiChoice, who's just been bought over by another organization, right? Mm-hmm. So whenever these takeovers happen, there's promises that people won't lose jobs. But unfortunately, the law protects employees to a particular extent. And once those requirements have been met, the new organization, the new company, of course, will want to make changes. And that's what's happening in MultiChoice as we speak. Now, if you sit in the same industry, not just within MultiChoice, but in the same industry, and you are seeing all these things happen, you are bound to be nervous around what the shakeup is going to look like. Similarly, in the retail industry, we see organizations taking over other organizations. Pepco has been growing and taking over other organizations. When you are sitting in your space, you are thinking, oh my goodness, is this going to happen to me? Should I be moving? And instead of moving, then you opt to sit in your own space because, hey, the salary is still here. I'm still very much comfortable. On a personal note, and this is why job hugging, while it's a new term, it's not a new phenomenon per se. Mm-hmm. If, for example, there's family matters, and I see a lot of women, unfortunately, being pushed into this space. If, for example, you're looking to start a new family, you might find yourself job hugging so that you've got security for some time. And you would define that on a personal basis. Do I need security and stability for 2 years, 3 years while I sort out my personal life? And then after that, I'll decide what the future looks like. So that could be one good example of personal circumstances influencing job hugging. And then from an economic point of view, it's everything that happens in the news, what happens around us, including being stuck in a particular city. Of course, it's different if you're either in Joburg or Cape Town because there's plenty of opportunities in those cities.
All right, Sipho, stay on the line. We're going to take a short break and we'll continue unpacking job hugging, but also the impact that it has on these job hugging individuals. Stay with us.
Siyabangena manje. Vito Jablan Kolele iMagoda. Jablan is a young man from Giyani in Limpopo in South Africa. Very easy guy, taking things easy. To know me is to know that I love what I do, which I'm crazy about it. So when you hear me on radio, expect the best. Expect great music. Expect great content. Expect 180 minutes of nothing but fun. You'll find me on the morning reset, 3 to 6 a.m., Monday to Friday. Siyabangena baba. Ay. Mbuleke.
Le monde entier a les yeux rivés sur Johannesburg. Les dirigeants des plus grandes économies mondiales se réunissent pour prendre des décisions qui façonneront les nations, les marchés et l'avenir. Vous savez déjà que Channel Africa sera sur place pour vous proposer des débats, des analyses et des points de vue essentiels. Suivez le sommet du G20 les 22 et 23 novembre en direct de l'Afrique. Restez connectés sur Channel Africa.
Gratitude begins with a story. Find yours on Channel Africa. Now streaming on our new website and mobile app. Step into the heart of the day on the move with Palesa and Benjamin.
We're chatting to HR specialist Sipho Mabaso about a term called job hugging. This is in the cubicle today, and it's the act of staying in one's current role, not out of satisfaction, but rather maybe fear, uncertainty, and the perceived safety and stability. Sipho, let's speak about this perceived safety and stability, right? Someone is job hugging. They're like, you know what? This is the position I have right now. It helps me pay my bills. I have a child on the way. It helps me feel secure. So I'm going to hold on this for dear life, whether or not I like being here. But around them, there's movement, right? In office environment, in the organization, there is movement happening while they're the ones that are not moving and everything moves around them. Does that actually create a safe environment or a stable environment, or is this perceived safety not real?
I think it depends on how fast-paced the change in that environment is, right? So one disadvantage of job hugging might be career stagnation, right? Again, depending on the nature of industry that you are in. Think of it as well with, when I was looking at this topic, I was thinking of government employees, right? So some people get into these roles and they become comfortable. Pure definition of job hugging, where people are like, listen, 4 o'clock, knock off time, I pick up my laptop and I leave, which is different in the private sector, because in the private sector, it's about getting the job done, whether it's 4 o'clock or not. So in certain governmental departments, there might not be any negative sentiments. But in the private sector, you might find yourself staying in the same position whereas your peers are progressing. You might find yourself 3-5 years later and we tell you, actually, we don't need your skills anymore because you still have the same set of skills and you've not exposed yourself into other areas. So from that point of view, you are limiting yourself. And one of the fears as well, again, in the private sector is that you are also limiting your earning potential. So it might get to a point where you wake up one day and you decide that actually you're not paid enough. But if you've not developed yourself from a skill point of view, you've not exposed yourself to anything else, then your negotiation power becomes quite limited. So it might be safe to an extent, especially if you work for a stable organization or a big organization, as that's what people are usually looking for. Because in smaller organizations, I think there's less chances of people job hugging. But in bigger organizations where your job scope is limited, that's where you'd find a lot of people taking advantage of this hugging concept.
And then let's speak about those scenarios, right? It's a big organization and a couple of people in each department are job hugging. What does that do to the workplace itself? Because movement in a workplace isn't just about getting flow in and out, but it also might bring new information, more qualified individuals, people who have information from outside that they can bring in new tools into the organization. And if you have quite a number of people in an organization job hugging, does that bring stagnation into the organization itself?
Certainly. So a good mix of talent allows for innovation, allows for great progress, and everything that you've touched on around how we deliver our services and how we operate. So if you've got a group of people that are just staying in their same roles, then it limits our talent pools. So what we do from an HR point of view as well is we've got what we call career pathways and succession. So the idea is that every critical role needs to have people succeeding it, right? People that can be placed into that role, and we work at developing them. So if you've got a business where a lot of people are job hugging and they're not moving and they're not applying themselves to the maximum, then we are limiting what that talent pool is going to look like. And therefore, filling critical roles that are above will become a mission, and it will mean that we always go outside when those opportunities come through. And I think something that you touched on that is quite critical is that we might be limited when it comes to how we think, because people that come from outside always bring in a different way of looking at problems, and therefore problem solving becomes easier. Whereas if we've all been in the same organization, same team that looks the same, we might still be thinking like we did 5 years ago, and therefore limiting the organization of where we could go.
See, possibly someone listening to this saying, I don't care what you guys are saying. This is my job. This one is my job, and nobody's going to remove me unless they fire me or they retrench me. I am not going anywhere. But let's say that time comes, because we have volatile economic times. Sometimes some organization come across volatile situations and a retrenchment does take place. Are they going to be looking at that job hugger first, saying, you haven't really contributed anything new for the past 5 years. We don't see any movement from you. So number one on the retrenchment list.
Certainly, Palesa. It's not black and white. But one of the key things now is that whenever there's opportunities to save costs or to be more effective, when we're considering restructuring organizations, we don't do what used to be done in the 90s anymore, where it was last in, first out. In that instance, you would be safe. Now what we do is what we look at what we call fit for purpose. So we restructure the organization, we redefine what the new roles look like. And if there's 60% change in what those roles look like, we then say people must reapply for their positions. And when you reapply for your position, this is where we need to know, what value have you added? And that can be a great determiner of whether you're going to add value in the new restructured organization. And if you've not been stretching yourself, if you've not been learning new skills, this is where you're going to find yourself disadvantaged because we don't operate with last in, first out anymore. We work with fit for purpose.
Well, before we wrap up, just really quickly, let's say someone is a job hugger and perhaps they feel like there's nothing wrong with being a job hugger. What are the ways that they can still keep themselves active, but also keep finding some sort of satisfaction in the work they do, even with no plan to leave?
I think it's about thinking around what value are you adding in that position. Sure, we are not saying think about being promoted. We are not saying think about moving into another organization. But are you still adding value? Is your experience adding value? Are you using that maybe to coach other people, add to systems? Because every organization sure still needs somebody that has institutional knowledge. But it's about how do you use that information to add value into the organization. So we are not calling for disruption, but be certain that you are adding value in that space. The danger here comes in when you are comfortable and you're no longer adding value, when you're just doing my job and there's no growth to how you approach your role. There's no embracing of technology. There's no embracing of new ways of doing things. So that's when it becomes a challenge. So continue to add value, continue to take advantage of your institutional knowledge. And that way we're not asking you to think about being a director, being a future star, or exiting the business. But be certain to add value in that space so that the team still appreciates having somebody like you in that space.
Sipho, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
That's HR specialist Sipho Maba. So speaking about this term known as job hugging. Very interesting one indeed. But now it's 10:30. Let's bring back Musibudi Makura for our latest sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you so much, Palesa. Very good morning once again from the Sports Day. So big news for fans heading to the USA for the FIFA World Cup in 2026. So the ticket holders are now eligible for priority visa interviews through a new system called FIFA Pass, now unveiled at the White House in a landmark event attended by President Donald Trump, the Secretary of State Marco Rubio, as well as FIFA President Gianni Infantino. The initiative streamlines travel for international fans attending matches in the USA. So FIFA Pass gives also ticket holders access to faster visa appointments, as well as major step in making sure that this is the most inclusive World Cup yet. On the continent now, the stage is set for the semi-finals of the CAF Women's Champions League. Now, Ismailia's Canal de Suez Stadium will host the two highly anticipated semi-final clashes today between AS FAR of Morocco, as well as TP Mazembe of the DRC, and ASEC Mimosas of the Ivory Coast and FC Masra of Egypt, all taking place this afternoon. So first up is AS FAR, the finalists from last year, and the champions TP Mazembe. The blockbuster, of course, a rematch of last year's final, opens at the double-header showdown. AS FAR, runner-ups in 2024, are now entering their fifth consecutive semi-final. An unmatched record, by the way, arrive with just one objective of reclaiming the continental crown that slipped from their hands last season. Standing in their way are the defending champions TP Mazembe, a team built on discipline as well as a growing reputation of delivering on the biggest African stages. So with both sides also boasting elite quality as well as tactical maturity, the encounter does indeed promise a lot of fireworks. Meanwhile, in the second semi-final, let's see ASEC Mimosas of the Ivory Coast, unbeaten leaders of Group B, take on FC Masra, the runner-ups of Group A. Now, for the Ivorian Giants, this marks their first ever appearance at this stage, which is a golden opportunity to write their own new history in the club's history. Now, FC Masra, meanwhile, arrived with a growing continental pedigree after securing third place in the previous edition. The Egyptian side are now in the second straight semi-final and then continue, of course, to establish themselves as a rising force in women's football. The Egyptians know they must remain focused from the first whistle until the last. Any lapse of concentration could be costly against the ASEC Mimosa side driven by a lot of confidence. So essentially, today's matchups promise a lot of intensity and unpredictability. On to some cricket news now. South Africa's Proteas coach Shukri Conrad has highlighted the influence of captain Themba Bavuma, who extended his unbeaten record as Test skipper with South Africa's recent win over India over the weekend. So Bavuma returned to the side after missing the Pakistan series due to a calf strain, and also played a key role in South Africa's stunning win on a challenging Eden Gardens pitch. Now, Conrad praised Bavuma's consistency and leadership, also stating that he's among the best players in the world and has been so for the past 2 years.
I said it 2 days before the Test match. Having our best player back is very reassuring for us. It brings a calmness. I also might have mentioned that in the last 18 months to 24 months, he's been one of the best players in the world, and he showed that again. An innings that he was clear on how he wanted to do it, went against the grain of everybody else in the match. And that was the difference between the two sides, Themba's innings.
Meanwhile, the Proteas announced shortly before the start of the day one that star fast bowler Kagiso Rabada would miss the match due to a rib injury. So despite that setback, Conrad was impressed by his team's ability to secure a victory without their premier seamer. He also praised Corbett Bosch, saying the youngster, who's also a pacer as well, ultimately justified his team selection.
And when KG tells you I'm not ready, then you better believe him. And again, that makes it so much sweeter that someone that we know can make a huge impact on the game is ruled out. And then I mean, Boshi might not have had the impact that KJ might have had with the ball, but his partnership this morning with Temba, again, you know, Boshi doing Boshi things. So, yeah, it makes it sweeter.
All right, so the time has just gone 10:36 a.m. Central African time, and that's a wrap from the sports desk at the Sawa. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, remember to send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Give us a call as well on +27 11714 4459. A final sports update on the show comes up in the third and final hour of On the Move. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Channel Africa is evolving, and so are you. Stay connected wherever you are with our brand new website and mobile app. Stream your favorite shows, catch up on African news, culture, and conversations, all at your fingertips.
Africa is just a tap away.
Your world, your stories, now on the go.
Stay connected wherever you are.
Visit channelafrica.co.za or download the Channel Africa app today. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Once again, it's time for our latest business news with Buntle Headbush.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thanks, Palesa. Good morning. Our top business story this hour. South African Labour Federation, COSATU, has called on leaders to address the increasing prevalence of social ills plaguing the country as they appear on various stages leading up to the G20 summit at the weekend. This as South Africa Deputy President Paul Mashatile is expected to deliver a keynote address at the G20 Social Summit's opening ceremony in Ekurhuleni, east of Johannesburg today. The two-day summit aims to amplify the voices of civil society, grassroots organizations and communities, focusing on global issues affecting them. COSATU National Spokesperson is Zanele Sabela.
We have a crisis of unemployment where we are sitting. There's poverty, there's inequality, and the fact that women's work is not valued as much as, traditionally men's work. We also have a problem of the youth in this country where we sit. Over 70% of youth between the ages of 15 and 24 are unemployed. The other thing that we don't speak nearly enough about is people with disabilities and how they are catered for.
Meanwhile, civil society groups say there have been notable benefits in hosting parallel summits to counter previous G20 summits. Ahead of the upcoming G20 summit in Johannesburg this weekend, civil society movement We the 99 is demanding wealth taxes, debt relief for low-income countries and climate justice. We the 99, which is made up of more than 100 local and international organizations, including trade unions and non-profit organizations focused on human rights, will host its own summit from Thursday until Saturday. Mazibuko Jaha is the founding director of Zabalaza Pathways Institute, one of the organizations leading this summit.
This year's G20 summit has been preceded by the release of the Global Inequality Report, which makes a definitive statement on the state of inequality and points to the need to tax the 1%, so the 1% that is rich can pay their fair share of the tax so that we can end illicit financial flows which take billions of dollars from our countries to companies in the global north. In other countries, government are beginning to respond with pro-poor budgeting, with effective participation in municipal affairs. We want to deepen that in South Africa.
The Democratic Republic of Congo's Mines Ministry says they've extended for 6 months a ban on the trading of minerals from dozens of artisanal mining sites in conflict-hit North and South Kivu provinces. The extension adds compliance pressure on global supply chains for tin, tantalum and tungsten, key inputs for the electronics, automotive and aerospace industries. The Minister of Mines, Watum Kabamba, says a ban first introduced in February is being kept in place because of evidence that illegal supply from mines is financing armed groups in the east. The ban applies to 38 sites producing coltan, cassiterite and wolframite, ingredients for tin, tantalum and tungsten in the Masisi territory in North Kivu and Kalehe territory in South Kivu. The Ivory Coast farmers say last week's light rains in the West African country's cocoa growing regions augur well for the October to March main crop, adding that harvesting is intensifying before reaching its peak in December. The world's top cocoa producer is in its dry season, which runs from mid-November to March when downpours are scarce. Farmers say above-average rains across the country have boosted the growth of many small and average pods before the start of the seasonal dry Hamilton wind that usually sweeps in from the Sahara Desert between December and March. They say light or average rains will help the main crop to be longer and larger compared with last year, and that buyers are happy with the current quality of beans. The head of tech giant Google has warned that no company would be immune if the current AI-led tech bubble were to burst. Sundar Pichai said the boom in artificial intelligence was unprecedented and had what he described as irrational elements. He said Google was also investing massively in AI, that even state-of-the-art models were prone to errors and should not be blindly trusted. Pichai also cautioned that AI would affect future jobs.
It will create new opportunities. It will evolve and transition certain jobs, and people will need to adapt. And then there will be areas where it will impact some jobs. So as a society, I think we need to be having those conversations. And part of it is how do you develop this technology responsibly and give society time to adapt as we absorb this technology.
And now turning to the indicators, $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,443 naira this morning. In Botswana, it's at 13 pula 94. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 45, and in Zambia, it's 22 kwacha 58. Moving to the BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 30. Russia, 80 rubles 91. In India, it's 88 rupees 62. China, 7 yuan 10, and South Africa, $1 is trading at 17 rand 10 cents this morning. $1 is trading at 75 pence to the British pound and 86 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $4,012 per ounce, platinum $1,520 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $63.86 a barrel this morning. And those are your business news. I'll be back with the final business update in the next hour. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or give us a call on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Buntle Hetbush.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Siyabangena manje. Vito Jabulani Nkolele iMagoda. Jabulani is a young man from Giyani in Limpopo in South Africa. Very easy guy, taking things easy. To know me is to know that I love what I do, which I'm crazy about it. So when you hear me on radio, expect the best. Expect great music. Expect great content. Expect 180 minutes of nothing but fun. You'll find me on the morning reset, 3 to 6 a.m., Monday to Friday. Siyabangena baba. Ay. Mbuleke.
Le monde entier a les yeux rivés sur Johannesburg. Les dirigeants des plus grandes économies mondiales se réunissent pour prendre des décisions qui façonneront les nations, les marchés et l'avenir. Vous savez déjà que Channel Africa sera sur place pour vous proposer des débats, des analyses et des points de vue essentiels. Suivez le sommet du G20 les 22 et 23 novembre en direct de l'Afrique. Restez connectés sur Channel Africa.
Benjamin Mushatama and Palesa Tau on the move.
Yeah, you know it.
This is Nomfundo Mo featuring Shasha. Pagatelam is the name of this particular one. We're speaking about job hugging. Do you know any job huggers in your organization? And what are some of the things that you notice about the job huggers there? But maybe you're a job hugger. What are your reasons, right? Maybe now you've just found out what the term is called, but you're like, you know what, I'm fine here. I'm okay. I can hear what you guys are saying, but I'm absolutely okay. Let us know. We're engaging together on this conversation at Channel Africa 1.
Africa Update on Channel Africa with Lulu Kabu.
Mozambique's opposition leader Venancio Mondlane has been charged with incitement to terrorism and disobedience. He faces a total of 5 charges. The charges relate to post-election violence that left hundreds of people dead. What punishment is he looking at?
The most severe charges are 2. One is incitement for terrorism, and also is being charged for mobilizing people for terrorism during the protests. These charges are really serious and severe. If he is condemned, is found guilty, he could serve 10 years plus years in jail, meaning that he would be banned from political participation, mainly for the 2028 and 2029 electoral cycle.
The director of CDD, the Center for Democracy and Development, Adriano Novunga.
Africa Update with Lulu Kabu, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time. The G20 Summit through African eyes, live updates, and expert voices only on Channel Africa. Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa. 9 to 12 midday, Central African Time. On the move with Palesa Tau and Benjamin Mushatama.
Beautiful, it's your name. Wonderful is what you are to me. It's you I see in my dreams. I pray for you, queen of my life. You are so beautiful, mama. You're beautiful. Emi wa mama kan. Talori yeah. Mama mi o roju ri. That is why I'm loving you. Nítorí ọmọ ó jìyà nílé ọkọ. Mama mi ò rojú rí. That is why I'm loving you. La 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 la. Oh, you're beautiful. Oh, you're beautiful. Oh yeah, la 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 la. Oh, you're beautiful. Oh, you're beautiful. Ẹ bá mi kíra fún màmá mi. Òrìṣà bí kíá o, kò sí láyé. Ẹ bá mi kíra fún màmá mi. Òrìṣà bí kíá o, kò sí láyé. Oh yeah, la 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 la. Oh, you're beautiful. Oh yeah, la 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 la. Oh, you're beautiful. Whoa, man, there is no one like you. Oh. Man, there is no one like you. Nítorí ọmọ ó jìyà nílé ọkọ. Màmá mi ò rojú rí. That is why I'm loving you. Nítorí ọmọ ó jìyà nílé ọkọ. Màmá mi ò rojú rí. And that is why I'm loving you. La 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 la. La 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 la. Oh, you're beautiful. Oh, you're beautiful. Oh yeah, la 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 la. Oh, you're beautiful. Oh, you're beautiful. Ẹ bá mi kíra fún màmá mi. Òrìṣà bí kíá o, kò sí láyé. Ẹ bá mi kíra fún màmá mi. Òrìṣà bí kíá o, kò sí láyé. Oh yeah, la 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 la. That's why you're beautiful. Oh yeah, la 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 la. You're rojú rí. And that's why I'm loving you. Yeah, you're rojú rí. And that's why I'm loving you. Yeah, ni wúrà. Hey, ni wúrà. Bàbá mi dìgí o.
It's Asha, so beautiful. Tuned into On the Move right here on Channel Africa. We're speaking about job hugging. And I think many of us have recognized those job huggers in our workplaces, and we're wondering, why does this person just not go anywhere? Have you ever thought of like having a conversation with the job hugger in your organization and what makes people so comfortable? But also, I don't blame them, honestly. You know, there's so many things that are happening in the economy, in the world. Like, money is so scarce these days, and so are jobs, seemingly. And now when someone is holding on there, they're like, yeah, you know, you're creating traffic, you're not moving out for the younger people to come in. But what else? Where else do you go? What else do you do? I mean, we all want financial safety and security, right? But on the flip side, if you are holding on for that financial safety and security, and when you're not actually satisfied with your job, that's also going to have a huge problem, or, with your mental health. You're just there all the time doing the same every day, and you're not trying to really move around or learn new things. That can have a great impact on your own mental health as well. So, yeah, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it to hold on to a job? But I know we have a lot of fears. As humans, we do have a lot of fears, and sometimes it takes a while to get out of that fear. So if there is a particular fear that's holding you back from moving around, maybe even like moving sideways in your job, learning new skills that could help you, bring new levels to your work experience, or maybe moving upwards and saying, hey, I would like a promotion. Maybe you're not that kind of person, and that's okay. But what is holding you back from moving on from your current job? Are you a job hugger? Let me know on +27 63 406 9126. Would love to hear from you. And of course, we'll be moving on to the next hour's conversations in just a bit. So stay with us. Our On the Move poll is still up and running at Channel Africa 1. That's pertaining to our first conversation. But the next conversation is going to be just as interesting. We're going into money in the next hour of the show. Loud budgeting. Hi guys. Isn't money supposed to be private? Isn't money supposed to be our own business? Would you tell your friends, your family members exactly how you're budgeting, exactly how you're investing, how much money you have to move around? Or is it something that could actually be beneficial for you? Maybe it could help you stay accountable. Let's speak a little bit about that loud budgeting in the next hour of the show.
Le monde entier a les yeux rivés sur Johannesburg. Les dirigeants des plus grandes économies mondiales se réunissent pour prendre des décisions qui façonneront les nations, les marchés et l'avenir. Vous savez déjà que Channel Africa sera sur place pour vous proposer des débats, des analyses et des points de vue essentiels. Suivez le sommet du G20 les 22 et 23 novembre en direct de l'Afrique. Restez connectés sur Channel Africa.
Celebrate generosity. Celebrate you. Channel Africa. Life with gratitude. Visit our new website or download our new app today.
Call us on +27 63 406 9126
and contribute to the conversation.
9 to 12 midday Central African Time. On the Move with Palesa Tau and Benjamin Mushatama.
It's almost 11 a.m. Central Africa time. Let's bring back Onele Nzinzi with our latest news.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Palesa. Looking at your top stories. The arrival of over 100 Palestinian refugees who landed in South Africa still in question, and Venezuela's president ready for talks with his U.S. counterpart. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. The head of humanitarian aid organization Gift of the Givers, Dr. Imtiaz Suleiman, has sought to clarify that his organization did not break the law in assisting the refugees that flew into South Africa from Gaza without following proper immigration protocols. This follows the uproar after the arrival of the group of 153 Palestinian refugees who landed in the country on a chartered flight from Kenya to seek asylum. The country's government has also raised red flags over the mysterious arrival of the plane. Suleiman said the Gift of the Givers were called in just to assist the refugees after they had arrived in the country.
First of all, the Gift of the Givers did not bring this plane to South Africa. People need to understand that. We were called in to assist the refugees because we heard they were in the airport in South Africa and basically helping the government to take care of the refugees. But this is what we do. We benefit nothing. We're an NGO. We look after lives. We save lives in the country and outside the country. We take care of refugees, ordinary people, people in our country, outside the country. We intervene in 47 countries. We assist people taking away pain and suffering. This is what we do. We don't get any benefit out of it.
Businessman Brown Mokgotsi has told the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry in South Africa that he is an agent for the country's crime intelligence. The alleged political fixer has been mentioned several times as a key player in interference to the criminal justice system, which the Commission is tasked with investigating. Mokgotsi has claimed in recent times that he survived a hit when his car came under fire in the East Rand. He has also dropped a bombshell that Vusimuzi Ketmatlala is a so-called John Wick that terrorized Pretoria communities.
There is something called Boko Haram. It was a presentation, intelligence presentation, which was presented to the former minister Bheki Cele. The Boko Haram, it talks to a man who was known as John Wick. This John Wick appears on the presentation of the intelligence presentation which was presented to Minister Bheki Cele. It has a picture of John Wick, his ID number, it has his previous convictions, pending cases and everything, all the matters that were withdrawn against him. It was in 2018 October, Commissioner. Commissioner, John Wick is Vusimuzi Ketmatlala.
A European human rights group is calling for the French energy giant Total to be charged with war crimes after an alleged massacre in Mozambique in 2021 at a huge natural gas site. The group accuses the company of complicity in the killing of nearly 100 civilians. The BBC's Andrew Hodding.
In the aftermath of a deadly attack by militants in a remote area of northern Mozambique, male civilians were rounded up and held in shipping containers at Total's coastal gas plant. Most were killed. Total officials have denied any wrongdoing, arguing that they're not responsible for the actions of Mozambican security forces. The case, filed with anti-terrorism prosecutors in Paris, argues that Total cut a deal with Mozambique to guard its gas plant, knowing full well that the country's troops had a long record of human rights abuses.
Britain has said it will make refuge status temporary and speed up the deportation of those who arrive illegally in the country. This is a major overhaul aimed at stemming the rise in the populist Reform UK party and tackling abuse of the current system, outlining changes to how the European Convention on Human Rights should be interpreted by the UK courts. The Interior Minister Shabana Menwood said the country's current asylum regime was more permissive than other countries in Europe and was not designed to deal with the large number of people moving across the globe. And lastly, Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro says he is ready for discussions after President Donald Trump said the U.S. may be open to talks to defuse a tense standoff. Washington has been ramping up pressure on the socialist leader with the military build-up in the southern Caribbean and the repeated targeting of small boats accused of smuggling drugs. On his weekly TV program, Maduro said free countries should engage through diplomacy.
So this country is at peace. This country will continue to be at peace. And in the United States, anyone who wants to talk to Venezuela will talk face to face without any problem.
Now recapping on your top stories, the head of the humanitarian aid organization Gift of the Givers, Dr. Imtiaz Sulemans, has sought to clarify that his organization did not break the law in assisting the refugees that flew into South Africa from Gaza without following proper immigration protocols. This follows the uproar after the arrival of the group of over 100 Palestinian refugees who landed in the country on a chartered flight from Kenya to seek asylum. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Nzinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
On the Move with Benjamin and Palesa every weekday on Channel Africa, The African Perspective.
It's hour 3 of 3. This is On the Move. You've been keeping me company for the past 2 hours, even without Benjamin here. I see you. I see you on this chair where he usually sits. I see you keeping me company. I see you holding my hand in the past 2 hours. So let's do it again for another hour right here on the Move. My name is Palesa Tau, and no matter where you are, you can continue to engage us. You can listen on the different platforms. We are on the SABC Plus app. We're on on our website. It's beautiful, it's brand new, there's lots going on there. www.channelafrica.co.za, and our audio bouquets, DSTV channel 802 and OpenView HD channel 628. But hey, this is HD listening, so there's viewing involved as well. We are multimedia, so join our live streams on Facebook. We are Channel Africa, and on YouTube, Channel Africa 1. So yeah, you get to see what I'm up to here in the studio, and of course you get to be up to what I'm up to as well, because we're engaging in these conversations together. Let me know where you're listening to us from, and of course on the comment section you can give me your thoughts on the conversations of the day. Do you tell people about your money? I think a lot of people have a fear, right, of people knowing the intricate details of what's going on with your money, how much you have saved, how much you have, how much you don't have. I know it's a little bit embarrassing as well, but we're sort of going against that particular notion in today's Money Matters as we look at an emerging approach to personal finance known as loud budgeting. No, not quiet in a corner. Not your little book where you go and write your little budget and your money and nobody is allowed to see it. No, you are free. You are proud to tell people, hey, I'm at this lunch today and I'm going to only spend 500, whether that's dollars, rands, nairas, euros, whatever your currency is. I'm only going to spend 500 today. So you guys need to know that is my budget. Are you able to do that? Or maybe for the month, you and your friends keep each other accountable. Say, let's invest together. I have this amount of money for investment this month, and I'd like to make it communal so we can invest in something together as friends. Are you confident enough to be loud about your budgeting? We'll be speaking about that in this hour of the show, unpacking how loud budgeting is reshaping how financial responsibility and management is talked about and practiced. And I think this is a good thing, because some of the reasons why we struggle so much with budgeting and money in general is because we don't want to speak about it. And maybe you can get new ideas. Maybe if you speak about it, you can get new ways of handling your finances that can actually be beneficial to you. So stay with us. This is On the Move, and we're about to speak loud budgeting in today's Money Matters.
Conversations are happening, and Channel Africa is at the heart of them. We tell the African story with clarity, pride, and purpose, reaching audiences that matter to your brand. Partner with us and connect your business with listeners across borders in multiple languages and markets. For partnership opportunities, sponsorship, or sales, email us at partnership@channelafrica.co.za. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
madapiri pazoshitika
inogeka zingeni chihana lumbiritsidwa kukhala wachiwiri kwa mtsogoleri wa dziko la Malawi pa mwambo omwe unachitika ku nyumba ya chifumu ya Sanjika mu mzinda wa Blantyre. Ndiye pano tili ndi olemekezeka a chihana. Takulandirani olemekezeka pano pa wireless ya Channel Africa pa Chinyanja Service. Amalawi ayembekezere zotani kuchokera kwa inu ngati wachiwiri winanso kwa president wa dzikolo?
Choyamba ngati vice president umagwira ntchito yopatsidwa ndi president imene yakuganizira. Ndiye malowozi athu atipatsa bwinobwino, koma ntchito yathu yayikulu ndi kuwathandiza president kuti masomphenya awo yakwanitsidwe. Mbali zambiri zoti zichitike, nkhani ya njala mdziko muno, boma la udakali chimanga ndi china chomwe chili mdziko muno kuti tithandize ana families are affected. Chachiwiri kunali ma fuel shortages amene akanaliponso apo ndi apo, tionetsetse kuti pumps athu asakhale dry.
zochitika pa nthawi ya 6 koloko kufikira 7 koloko madzulo, lolemba mpaka lachisanu ndi madapiri.
Stay tuned to Channel Africa. Stream us on our new and updated website, channelafrica.co.za. Channel Africa and you have got something in common. The thirst for knowledge.
play that happy music. Yeah. Make them play that happy music. Yeah. Make the baby happy music. Yeah. Make the people sing along. From my head down to my toes. Oh yeah. My mama said if he must to cash you. He true love and if you see something done they have.
This is Yemi Alade. This one is titled True Love. It's time for Money Matters. Let's speak all things money. And the thing is about money and personal finance, we like to highlight that first part, right? Personal, meaning it's about me, it's for me, it's personal to me, it's my secret. That's how we take personal finance. So what we do is we go and budget in our bedrooms in our little budget book, and we write there and we make sure nobody ever gets to see that budget. When it's time to invest, we pop it a little bit out here and we tell nobody about it. Sometimes even in relationships and marriages, people try their best not to say anything. In fact, the only time you speak loudly about your money is when you tell your kids, I don't have money for that this month. Is that the right way to be doing things? Today we're looking at a conversation that is the contrary to this. It's called loud budgeting, and it's an emerging approach to personal finance that encourages people to openly share their spending limits and their financial goals. Sounds super scary to most of us, doesn't it? But we're finding out why it isn't scary and how it's reshaping personal finance and responsibility, as well as the management of our money. Joining us on the line is Tsungai Masende, certified financial planner and director at IWCP Preventers. Tsungai, thank you so much for joining us. Good morning.
Good morning, Palesa. Good morning to your fantastic listeners. Oh my goodness, I love this. This is probably my best topic ever. So let's get right into it, Pale. So loud budget.
Yes.
What is this thing? Okay. So it really just means taking a proactive, a transparent, and a vocal approach when you're talking about money. And quite interestingly, when I went through our history, even from a financial perspective, we've been doing loud budgeting. We just didn't know that it had a name. Yes, girl, we have been doing loud budgeting, and I'm about to share exactly how it's been done previously.
Well, let's speak about that because many of us, like I said, the only time we speak about money openly is when we're telling someone, hey, I don't have the money for that, especially the kids, because they're always wanting something. Mommy, daddy, can I get some new sneakers? And you say, I don't have money for new sneakers this month. Please, I have so much stress. And that's the only time we want to be loud about our finances. But we take the personal part of the personal finance very personal, like this should be a secret. Is that so? Should our money be our secret? Should we be doing it in our little corners and not bringing anyone in on it?
Absolutely not, Palesa. And one key example I actually want to talk about where we have been doing loud budgeting for years and years on end is stokvels. So if you think about the premise of a stokvel, it's individuals that come together that have a shared goal. And that goal could be buying groceries at the end of the month. It could be making sure that we can actually bury our loved ones when they pass away. It could be being in a position to support the elderly when they are much grown and are not able to contribute economically. So loud budgeting has been there, but we just haven't been conscientious that we are being a little bit more transparent about our money. We are sharing information about our finances, and we are collaborating on a shared goal. So loud budgeting is not something new. And like you said, sometimes we don't know what we don't know, and we are scared of the unknown because we term these things with fancy things. But who's ever afraid to go to the stokvel meeting? Absolutely no one, because we know it works. We know it will help us at the end of the day. And that's exactly what loud budgeting is all about. It's saying, come, let's be open about the way that we share money. Come, let's be open and have accountability in the way that we handle finances. Come, let's be transparent about this topic of money.
Okay, I hear you because the stokvels that have existed in our African communities for a very long time, and people come together and say this is how much we're putting aside. But outside of that stokvel meeting or that shared money place, who else should we be telling about our money? Because outside of that, many people even those who are part of these stokvels are still keeping their money matters very, very secret and private.
So one good way of starting the open journey of talking about money is to have your own personal accountability partner. Coming back to that issue you mentioned about, it is a personal journey, and financial planning is not a one-size-fits-all. So the best place to start is by hiring or partnering with a trusted certified financial planner. If you go onto the website for the Financial Planning Institute, you can actually find someone who you can resonate with so that you can start having better money conversations. Not only does having a certified financial planner in your life help make sure that you can set goals that are smarter, meaning they're specific, they're measurable, they're achievable, realistic, and time-bound, but it also makes sure that you have a thought partner, someone who can help you think through your money matters differently. I've found situations in some instances when I'm consulting with clients where people think this big, hairy, audacious goal is unrealistic, it's unachievable. But because I come with a fresh perspective, a new lens of eyes, a new way of thinking through things, what happens is all of a sudden we put together a plan, we continue conversing about this tough topic on money, and within a year, 2 years, people are mind-boggled how they were actually able to achieve their goals. So there's nothing impossible, Palesa. Get yourself a certified financial planner as a starting point to help you become more comfortable about talking about money. Mm-hmm. But another challenge I want to put to our audience today is, at the Christmas dinner, all right, don't be talking about Bram Swaley's new car. Initiate the conversation about investing. And you know what? Investing doesn't have to be this fancy thing that only the people in gray suits and black suits do. We can actually start investing ourselves. We can invest in our cousin's business as a start. We can invest in brands and companies that we already know. And I'm always encouraging females, instead of buying the Louis Vuitton bag, own the Louis Vuitton shares. How amazing would it be if we started having conversations like this at platforms that we already have, like family dinners, family meetings, our traditional gatherings? Let's not be afraid to have this conversation about money, because the only way, even as a child, you get better at speaking isiXhosa, Zulu, Afrikaans, is if you keep speaking it, all right? You start as a toddler and you keep working at it until you become a pro and you're now talking to people in boardrooms or at conferences. Same thing with money. You're not going to get any better at it unless you keep talking the language. And that's what we're encouraging here. Go for loud budgeting.
All right. We'll come back and speak a little bit more about this loud budgeting. So guys, stay on the line with us. We'll continue this conversation after the break.
The G20 Summit through African eyes, live updates, and expert voices only on Channel Africa.
Africa, voici Abedi.
Oui, c'est moi.
Abedi est un passionné de musique dans l'âme. Il a un goût pour toutes sortes de musique et passe ses journées à écouter Channel Africa.
J'aime beaucoup la musique africaine.
Ok. Devinez quoi? Channel Africa veut aider Abedi et les mélomanes du monde entier à découvrir encore plus de musique incroyable. C'est pourquoi Channel Africa appelle les artistes africains à soumettre leur musique. Chers artistes, n'oubliez pas de nous fournir toutes vos informations pertinentes à l'email adresse musique@channelafrica.co.za. Les soumissions sont votre chance d'être entendues, mais elles ne garantissent pas une playlist. Toutes les soumissions seront soigneusement examinées pour voir si elles répondent aux exigences de notre station. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Hashtag on the move and connect with us.
Certified financial planner Tungai Masendeke is joining us today to speak about loud budgeting. You're still listening to Money Matters. Tungai, you spoke about sitting, at the Christmas table and saying, "Hey guys, let's start and invest. Let's, speak about money." But there's a danger somewhere, in terms of like, what exactly is your intention when you start loud budgeting? Because if I tell anyone who will listen, my family members, my friend, about my money and my budget, sometimes chances are I'm going to have more people knocking on my door saying, "Hey, can you borrow me 500? Because I know now how much you have for the investment. Come on, you'll invest next month. I know you have 500 there to invest. Hey, can you borrow me 2,000? Because remember when we spoke about your money, you said that's how much you save every month. So give me some from your savings, man. You'll bring it back again next month." Is loud budgeting dangerous, Tungai?
You know what? That is such an honest question. And I love it because that's probably how 80% of the people listening to this are actually thinking. If I become too transparent, that made me a soft target. Will I now become the mashonisa for the whole family?
Yeah.
All right. And you know what? Fear is only there as long as you don't have enough evidence about the reality. So the reality is, just because I'm being open about strategy that can be utilized from a financial planning perspective, doesn't mean I necessarily have to always also disclose what it is I'm actually going to be investing. So if I'm at the coffee table with my family, we're having breakfast, I can be honest about, you know what, I heard that there's this great opportunity where we can actually invest. Have you heard from a debt management perspective that you can go for debt counseling and you won't actually lose your assets if you take on that 5-year program of being rehabilitated? So it's about being open and sharing knowledge that helps people make progressively better financial decisions. I'm not too sure if you're familiar with the process or the phenomenon of Kaizen, which says that small, incremental, consistent changes can actually result in compounded growth or compounded effect over time. So if we become progressively consistent and better at talking about money, it means that the quality of decisions that we actually make becomes better. So personal finance is something that is personal, like we mentioned, but it doesn't mean that we're necessarily opening ourselves to then becoming the financial bag for the entire family. Mm-hmm. It's about being open about the conversations that will help challenge the mindsets, the thought processes, the way that we perceive even money, so that it doesn't become taboo, all right? The same way that we are able to have conversations about, where's the next mujolo, or where there's the next party, we must be able to say, oh my goodness, where's the next opportunity financially? Where's the opportunity for me to grow my money? Where's the opportunity for me to save? Where's the opportunity for me to make more money or to stretch the money that I already have? That's what we're advocating for. And it will not necessarily mean that you become a soft target, but it means that we become wiser and smarter about how we allocate money, how we use money, and how we get ourselves out of debt as well.
Now, let's speak about how we can be intentional when you start loud budgeting. You're hearing about this for the first time. You're like, okay, this sounds like a great strategy. And for someone like, many of us who can't stay accountable, at the gym and on our budgets, we need someone else to help us, with those accountability. And loud budgeting can sort of help with that. So how do you start this journey in an intentional way? How do you, recognize the people that you can loud budget with, the people who are, good enough to hold you accountable and that you can hold accountable as well? How do you begin this loud budgeting journey?
So I say iron sharpens iron. Find like-minded people who already love to talk about money, who already love to talk about the progress they're making financially, who love to share information and ideas. That's always a great starting point. And what I would actually encourage people to do is start with 2 or 3 friends. Find a financial wellness, a financial and investment conference you can attend, and start there, because you share the philosophy of wanting to grow your wealth. You share the philosophy of wanting to make your money work for you. So find 2 or 3 people, go to an investment conference, an investment seminar, a financial planning workshop, and from there, share ideas. What can we take action on? What can we implement? Because I cannot emphasize how many people go for workshops, conferences, conventions, the work, they tick the box, get the t-shirt and the lanyard, but after that, they do absolutely nothing. So in terms of starting, find like-minded people, find an event that you can actually go to, and sometimes it doesn't even have to be an event. Read a book. There are a lot of great books about money. Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Psychology of Money. You're not broke, you're pre-rich. All those are great books that you can actually start reading as a community and to build on that knowledge as a community. After every chapter, you ask yourselves, what is it that we learn? What is it that we can implement? How can I do things differently so that I can start winning on this money game, which is another great financial book, by the way. So there's a lot of content out there. If you don't want to buy books, then go onto the internet. There are a lot of fantastic platforms, even Moms and Money One that I also run, where you can literally go in there, find a principle or concept, break it down into small actionable parts, and you keep each other accountable, and you keep this thing moving. Loud budgeting. Let's go.
And when it comes to your immediate family, perhaps your partner and your children, I think, maybe I want us to look how we can include children in this, because we've learned our financial behaviors that sometimes have been to our detriment from our own parents and watching them and how they deal with money. If you want to have maybe a next generation that is not really afraid to have money conversations, how do you bring the children into this loud budgeting?
Oh my gosh, Pale, you're making me so excited today. So one key thing I advocate for is the 3 S's. Very key, simple process you can introduce to your kids. First S is when you get money, yes, you're allowed to spend it, because we also don't want to create unhealthy individuals that feel they always have to become extreme savers.
Yeah.
So give them the permission to spend. At the same time, you introduce them to saving. So that's the second S. So it's spending, it's saving, and then the third S, which is also important in helping to start grooming that philosophy of abundance, that they don't have to always be scratching around, etc., is sharing. Because when you actually learn to share, you're saying, I have enough for myself. I trust that I'm going to keep on producing more, and I don't have to be a hoarder. So you teach them how to spend responsibly. You teach them how to save. You teach them how to invest also in things that will help them to generate more interest through compounding, and to teach them how to share. So 3 key principles: for every 100 Rand, every 50 Rand you give your child, let them have 3 jars: the spend jar, the save jar, and the share jar, and give them the opportunity to start deciding how much do I allocate to each of these jars. And progressively, as they become better, you level it up. So if in the beginning they're spending 80%, sharing 10% and saving 10%. You start incentivizing them by giving them a little bit of interest for every amount that they actually save. Mm-hmm. So they start then to shift from more spending to more saving, because they understand, the savings jar is actually growing. And slowly but surely, you introduce principles that can be life-changing even when they become adults.
I love that. Well, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to chat to you once again, Sungai. Let us know where we can find you for your services.
So the people out there can find me on LinkedIn. I'm Sungai Masendeke. They can find me on Instagram, momsandmoney_, or they can simply just send me a WhatsApp message, 073-519-2358.
Thank you so much. It's always great to chat to you. That's Certified Financial Planner and Director at IWCP Preventers, Sungai Masendeke, helping us unpack this seemingly new phenomenon, loud budgeting. Is that something that you'd look into? Let us know at Channel Africa 1. It's 11:30. Once again, let's get our latest in sports.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you so much, Palesa. Very good morning once again from the Sports Desk. So South Africa's Proteas coach Shukri Conrad has highlighted the influence of Captain Themba Bavuma, who extended his unbeaten record as Test captain with South Africa's recent victory over England. Bavuma returned to the side after missing the Pakistan series due to a calf strain, and then played a key role in South Africa's stunning win on a challenging Eden Gardens pitch. Conrad also praised Bavuma's consistency and leadership, stating that he's been been among the best players in the world for the past 2 years.
I said it 2 days before the test match. Having our best player back is very reassuring for us. It brings a calmness. I also might have mentioned that in the last 18 months to 24 months, he's been one of the best players in the world, and he showed that again. An innings that he was clear on how he wanted to do it, went against the grain of everybody else in the match. And that was the difference between the two sides, Temba's innings.
Now, the Proteas announced shortly before the start of day one that fast bowler Kagiso Rabada would miss the match due to a rib injury. Despite the setback, Conrad was impressed by his team's ability to secure a victory without their premier seamer. Now, he also praised Corbin Bosch, saying the young pacer ultimately justified his selection.
And when KG tells you I'm not ready, then you better believe him. And again, that makes it so much sweeter that someone that we know can make a huge impact on the game is ruled out. And then, Boshi might not have had the impact that KJ might have had with the ball, but his partnership this morning with Temba, again, Boshi doing Boshi things. So, yeah, it makes it sweeter.
On to rugby news now. South Africa will host 3 Six Nations teams in July next year as the new Nations Championship launches with a northern invasion of the Southern Hemisphere. So England, Scotland as well as Wales will head to South Africa for the mid-year tests. The groundbreaking Nations Championship, which is a landmark joint venture between SANZA as well as the Six Nations Rugby to create a new biennial tournament, was officially launched on Monday with the 12 biggest nations in the world colliding in a competitive new tournament that will reshape the future of the global game. Now, the SANZA nations, which is South Africa, New Zealand, Australia, as well as Argentina, plus 2 invitational teams in Fiji and Japan, will represent the Southern Hemisphere in a new competition played in the 2 existing international windows in July and November against the Six Nations teams, England, France, Ireland, Italy, Scotland, and Wales. All 12 nations will compete for points, so 4 points for a win, 2 points for a draw, 0 points for a loss, and a bonus point for a victory, where 4 tries are scored or more, and losing by 7 points or fewer to determine the standings in their respective groups. Well, big news for fans heading to the USA for the FIFA World Cup 2026. Ticket holders are now eligible for priority visa interviews through a new system called FIFA Pass, now unveiled at the White House in a landmark event attended by President Donald Trump, the Secretary of State Marco Rubio, as well as the FIFA President Gianni Infantino. The initiative streamlines travel for international fans attending matches in the USA. Now, FIFA Pass also gives ticket holders access to faster visa appointments, a major step in making this one of the most inclusive World Cup tournaments yet. And finally, Emma Raducanu has pulled out of an exhibition match in the USA next month because of a minor foot issue. The British number 1 has light bone bruising in her right foot, but she is able to practice and will soon be expecting to travel to Barcelona for a pre-season training block. Now, preparations for this new season will be overseen in Spain by coach Francesco Rog, who began working with Raducanu in August of this year. The 23-year-old Raducanu has spent part of this month training at the National Tennis Centre in London and will now be able to focus entirely on the overseas camp. Not having to play 2 exhibition matches nearly a month before the start of the new season is a way, of course, of reducing the load on her foot. Well, that's a wrap of your morning sports news right here on Channel Africa. It is 11:35 a.m. Central African Time. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, our email address is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Call us as well on +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa.
The African perspective.
Channel Africa is evolving, and so are you. Stay connected wherever you are with our brand new website and mobile app. Stream your favorite shows. Catch up on African news, culture, and conversations, all at your fingertips.
Africa is just a tap away.
Your world, your stories, now on the go.
Stay connected wherever you are.
Visit channelafrica.co.za or download the Channel Africa app today. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Thank you, Musibudi. Let's bring back Bontle Headbush once again for our latest business news.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thanks, Palesa. Good morning. In our final business update this morning, South African retail chain Pick n Pay's founding Ackerman family has sold about 64 million shares, more than a year after pledging to cede control of the struggling grocer. In May 2024, the Ackerman family said it would relinquish control of Pick n Pay as part of a revamp aimed at stemming losses, cutting debt and regaining market share. Gareth Ackerman, who's been with the company for 4 decades, said he would retire as chairman after 14 years in the job. The placement shares, representing an 8.5% of Pick n Pay's total issued ordinary shares, were sold at $1.49 a piece in an accelerated book build, a 6.4% discount to the company's closing price yesterday. The company raised just over $93 million in proceeds. South African Labour Federation COSATU has called on leaders to address the increasing prevalence of social ills plaguing the country as they appear on various stages leading up to the G20 summit at the weekend. This as South African Deputy President Paul Mashatile is expected to deliver a keynote address at the G20 Social Summit's opening ceremony in Ekurhuleni, east of Johannesburg today. The 2-day summit aims to amplify the voices of civil society, grassroots organizations and communities, focusing on global issues affecting them. COSATU national spokesperson is Zanele Sabela.
We have a crisis of unemployment where we are sitting. There's poverty, there's inequality, and the fact that women's work is not valued as much as, traditionally men's work. We also have a problem of the youth in this country where we sit. Over 70% of youth between the ages of 15 and 24 are unemployed. The other thing that we don't speak nearly enough about is people with disabilities and how they are catered for.
The Democratic Republic of Congo's Mines Ministry says they've extended for 6 months a ban on the trading of minerals from dozens of artisanal mining sites in conflict-hit North and South Kivu provinces. The extension adds compliance pressure on global supply chains for tin, tantalum and tungsten, key inputs for the electronics, automotive and aerospace industries. The Minister of Mines, Watung Kabamba, says the ban, first introduced in February, is being kept in place because of evidence that illegal supply from mines is financing armed groups in the east. The ban applies to 38 sites producing coltan, cassiterite and wolframite, ingredients for tin, tantalum and tungsten, in the Masisi territory in North Kivu and Kalehe territory in South Kivu. South African civil society groups says there have been notable benefits in hosting parallel summits to counter previous G20 summits. Ahead of the upcoming G20 summit in Johannesburg this weekend, civil society movement We the 99 is demanding wealth taxes, debt relief for low-income countries and climate justice. We the 99, which is made up of more than 100 local and international organizations, including trade unions and non-profit organizations focused on human rights, will host its own summit from Thursday until Saturday. Mazibuko Jaha is a founding director of Zabalaza Pathways Institute, one of the organizations leading the summit.
This year's G20 summit has been preceded by the release of the Global Inequality Report, which makes a definitive statement on the state of inequality and points to the need to tax the 1%, so the 1% that is rich can pay their fair share of the tax so that we can end illicit financial flows which take billions of dollars from our countries to companies in the global north. In other countries, government are beginning to respond with pro-poor budgeting, with effective participation in municipal affairs. We want to deepen that in South Africa.
The head of tech giant Google has warned that no company would be immune if the current AI-led tech bubble were to burst. Sundar Pichai said the boom in artificial intelligence was unprecedented and had what he described as irrational elements. He said Google was also investing massively in AI, but stressed that even state-of-the-art models were prone to errors and should not be blindly trusted. Pichai also cautioned that AI would affect future jobs.
It will create new opportunities. It will evolve and transition certain jobs, and people will need to adapt. And then there will be areas where it will impact some jobs. So as a society, I think we need to be having those conversations. And part of it is how do you develop this technology responsibly and give society time to adapt as we absorb this technology.
And now for our final look at the indicators this morning. $1 US in Nigeria is trading at 1,443 naira. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 94. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shilling 45, and in Zambia it's 22 kwacha 58. Moving to the BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 30. Russia is 80 rubles 91. India 88 rupees 62. China 7 yuan 10, and South Africa $1 is trading at 17 rand 10 cents this morning. $1 is trading at 75 pence to the British pound and 86 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $4,012 per ounce, platinum $1,520 per ounce, while Brent crude oil is at $63.86 a barrel. And those are your business news. For any business stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or give us a call on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Bontle Headbush.
Business News on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Every voice matters. Every moment counts. Celebrate life with Channel Africa. The African Perspective. Now in your pocket.
Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et vos 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.co.za pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Your life, your rhythm, your Africa. Channel Africa. Find it for free on Google Play and the Apple App Store.
Oh man, it's Treso and Msaki on this one. Sondela is the name of it. Don't forget, before we say goodbye, you have to go through to our On The Move poll. Let's see what you have to say about our first hour conversation. We're speaking about the blessers. Of course, we found out new research about the impacts of blesser relationships on young women. So we want to hear your thoughts on that particular one. What do you think is the biggest harm for blesser-blessee relationships is the question that we're asking you. Is it the power imbalance and abuse? Is it the emotional trauma or HIV and AIDS and STI statistics? So let us know which one you're worried about the most. So far, we have most of you saying it's the power imbalance and abuse. But if you have a different thought, go to our On The Move poll and let us know. But right now, we have Lulu Gabu in the studio. She's here to let us know what's coming up on today's Africa Update. Good morning, Lulu.
Good morning. It's a happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
Yeah, so a lot happening this week, today, and a lot happened. When I say this week, I'm thinking of the G20 summit that is taking place this weekend. The build-up to the summit. We have the G20 Social Summit, which is underway. The Deputy President of South Africa opened that summit. It's in the East Rand in Boksburg, and it is a landmark G20 Social Summit, and this is happening on the African continent in South Africa. So a lot to unpack on that front. We are going to be, focusing on that and speaking to a number of people because there is also the leaders from government, just unpacking that particular one where it focuses on not only civil society, youth, the private sector, health. These are issues that are major issues when it comes to not only South Africa, but the African continent and the globe as a whole. There we're going to be speaking to Kadi Ture, who is the head of communications at the Partnership for Maternal, Newborn and Child Health. That's a big one we're focusing on. And then also we go to Nigeria, a manhunt underway, at least 25 schoolgirls being abducted at an attack on a secondary school in northwestern Nigeria. We're back to that point.
Oh, goodness.
It just takes you back to the Chibok girls.
Yes.
Over 100 girls taken that time. And some of them not having returned home. Some of them, being mothers, going through a lot. So what is happening in Nigeria? Why are we seeing this happening again? We're going to be speaking there to Dr. Agbe Dieli, who is a criminologist, a global security consultant, and a lecturer at Caleb University, which is in Lagos, Nigeria. So all that and more coming up on Africa Update.
Thank you, Lulu. That is the Africa Update coming up from 12 to 1 p.m. Central Africa time. We are still on the move. Stay with us.
The G20 Summit through African eyes, live updates, and expert voices only on Channel Africa.
Siyabangena manje. Vito Jablan Kolele Imakota. Jablan is a young man from Giyani in Limpopo in South Africa. Very easy guy, taking things easy. To know me is to know that I love what I do, which I'm crazy about it. So when you hear me on radio, expect the best. Expect great music. Expect great content. Expect 180 minutes of nothing but fun. You'll find me on the morning reset, 3 to 6 a.m., Monday to Friday. Siyabangena baba. Ay. Mbuleke.
Download the SABC app and take Channel Africa with you everywhere you go.
Breaking news. There has been a discovery of a very dangerous animal crossing the borders of South Africa. If you're anywhere in the Gauteng province, please, you're advised to stay at home and be safe.
Seba ke rata kupuridu mata ya lesotho tle bona puma feta ke senya basale ba bua nta ke melamu isenya dithunya nyamatsana ke ne ka gauta le mela hlaba le tletse meutlwa mo ke ange pele a sanke ke gutla se ke le pele se ke le ka bua hele mama hele mama hele mama hele hake hata le fatse la sekama bima go batlang sekala gele ke thata o di malefatshe o tsebe ba sa tlo le mala ke batla zaka looking for money ya ka tla mo for ho bapala tsebe ke plaka bile ke nkane ha ke tloana ke gagada batho ba Gauteng dumelang ntwana moshweshwe ye buang rumile ke tshaba sa eso ba itse ke batle se joa batho ba Gauteng dumelang ntwana moshweshwe ye buang rumile ke tshaba sa eso ba itse ke batle se joa tsebe ke rata kupudi mata ya Lesotho tle bone puma feta ke senya ba sale ba bua nta ke melamo e senya dithunya nyamatsana ke ne ka Gauta le mela hlaba le tletse meutlwa mo kang ke pele a zange ke khutla se ke le pele se ke le ka bua hele 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 mama hele 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 mama hele 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 mama hele
siyimpi kuyoqhuma nhlamvane sokulane sababa umshengishabalala ibuthe ligqize ngegazi elikashaka ungiyaphinda ngithi webafana siyimpi sokhale ekhanda kongafiki ngisoke edlala ngenkotha nolimi saseyibo labafana ababili ngithi siyokufa ngambunye idayimane lokushaya ukhala uzudube yisho nibafana loshuno wembuka mase ngifikile siyolala amaluni obathi khusa umlilo malanga buba nozobhula thina sithema sitshala bona basibuka manje senze iminithelo sayivuna yezangakithi ziyangiza mangikhuluma mama we kungamisile madle nje awubaxoleli imani bafike masifika kwashukuma inkundla mama we yosho unqudule emabaleni ngikushiya ubuze emagaleni
hele mama hele
ngene sentini ngembatata sathatha itrap usayiphendula isibaya.
We have Malume Vector on this one featuring Black Diamond Dumelang. Dumelang means hello in the Sona language. That is my language. But now it's not time to say Dumelang. It's time to say goodbye. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And hopefully we'll have Ben back tomorrow. But you can still keep me company and keep both of us company as you have in the past 3 hours. Have yourself a fantastic day, Africa. We'll be back tomorrow.
Gratitude begins with a story. Find yours on Channel Africa. Now streaming on our new website and mobile app.
Au début c'était tout nouveau, tout beau. Avec elle j'étais au 7e ciel. Par la suite je faisais plein de mauvais rêves où elle me disait que c'était fini entre nous sans me donner des raisons valables. Mais tu sais c'est quoi le pire? C'est que ces rêves étaient devenus réalité.
Après tant d'années, quand je l'ai revu, mon cœur a fait boum boum. Je me suis posé un tas de questions qui m'ont mené à la conclusion que dans le fond je ne l'ai jamais oublié. Mes sentiments, j'aimerais bien les bafouer. Il y a des choses que je suis obligé d'avouer, comme le fait que tu ne seras jamais un mot. Aujourd'hui tu es là mais demain tu seras dans un avion. Tu dis que tu m'aimes mais tu t'endors dans les bras d'un autre. Ainsi va la vie. Dis-moi à quel moment je devrais croire que t'es pas comme les autres. Baby, tell me. Je te pose des questions dont j'ai les réponses, et je veux voir si tu vas me mytho. Et tu n'as fait que me mentir. Pendant que les soirs tu dors dans sa maison, moi je suis dans une bataille entre le cœur et la raison. Pendant que les soirs tu dors dans sa maison, moi je suis dans